Well, I think like in most things, you're processing it through your mind a lot. And I think initially, probably like most folks, I thought to myself, it's easier just to stay where I am. But I also know whether it's this decision or any other decision, typically if you're willing to put the work in the front end, and sometimes there is some front end work, there's huge reward in the back end. And so while, change is always, there's always fear in change. Keller Williams wasn't very well known in Alaska. And I had, a lot of people thought I was nuts for even considering it. They thought, well, why don't you just go out on your own? But in my process, I thought, what would really keep me from going? Gosh, I've got to change my signs, and I've got big signs out front, and I've got vehicles that are wrapped with my logos on them, and the more I thought about it, the more things that I thought that I would have to change. And it's interesting because I had met with the Alaska group a couple of different times, and they said, well, okay, tell us what your big issues are. And I said, well, gosh, we have to do all this stuff, and we've got to transist. I have over 150 listings. We've got to move all the signs. And to me, there was just this huge, overwhelming set of issues that we would have to work through. And you guys looked at me and said, what else? Like, well, that's a no-brainer. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I wonder, if they really mean it. How are we going to get through this transition? And what I can tell you is that they convinced me that the transition would be smooth. While they did say that this would be the biggest transition they'd ever done before, they were honest about that. They said, we've done it before. Other people have gone before you. We know how to do this. And if there are things that come up that we've never done before, we'll work through it together because we both want this to be a win-win, right? Absolutely. And so while initially that may have been a big fear, the truth is, and people have asked me after the fact, okay, come on, what went wrong? Nothing went wrong. And I really I credit the Alaska group for that because they were prepared. They did know, gosh, okay, they actually kind of pushed me. Let's get your signs ordered, let's get your logos, let's get all that done. And so it wasn't nearly a big a deal as I thought it would. What I would tell someone considering this is there's always going to be a lot of reasons that you can chalk up as to why you shouldn't do this. And that's the reason a lot of people never make a move. And as we all know, the classic question, gee, at the end of your life, what would you do different? And most people say take more risks. Well, the truth is take more calculated risks. And I think the more information you find out, the more you meet with people, really you can measure that risk and you can minimize it. And that's exactly what we did. We put a system in place, a plan in place to make a very smooth transition. That's exactly what happened. And it wasn't really scary at all. And it really turned out nicely. And even I was surprised at how smooth it went. And a lot of people said, oh, gee, you're going to lose business. People aren't going to be able to find you. They're going to be confused and call the wrong office. And the truth is that's just a big fear factor. And the actual result is that I honestly believe we're better off today, more profitable.